Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. From this video, I will discuss about the anatomy of perineum and the bony boundaries, the subdivisions and superficial perineal pouch as well as the deep perineal pouch. This part of anatomy is a bit complicated, so I will simplify it from the beginning. Hope you guys know what is perineum is. Actually, the perineum is the lowest region of the trunk in the erect position, and the perineum lies below the level of pelvic diaphragm, and it is traversed by, or it is crossed by, the anal canal, the vagina in females, and the urethra in males and females. Now let's see what are the bony boundaries of the perineum. The perineum is a diamond shaped structure. There are four bony prominences. Anteriorly, you can see the pubic symphysis. Posteriorly, you can see the tip of coccyx. And laterally, you can see the two ischial tuberosities. Once you join these four bony prominences, you get a diamond-shaped structure like this. In this diamond-shaped structure, the lateral boundaries are formed anteriorly by the two ischiopubic rami. This is the ischiopubic rami in one side and this is the other side. So anteriorly, the lateral boundaries of the diamond-shaped structure are formed by the ischiopubic rami. Then the posteriorly, the lateral boundaries are formed by the sacrotuberous ligaments from the both sides. When we talk about the subdivisions of the perineum is divided into two parts as anterior triangle and the posterior triangle. Anteriorly, it is actually divided by an imaginary line which drawn across the two ischial tuberosities. And the anterior triangle is known as the urogenital triangle, and the posterior triangle is known as the anal triangle. So the urogenital triangle contains, or it crosses, the urethra in both males and females and vagina in females. And the anal canal contains the anal triangle contains the anal canal in midline, and there are two ischiorectal fossa on either side of the canal. This is a lateral view of female perineum. Here you can see the scarpa's fascia. Scarpa's fascia means the superficial fascia of the anterior abdominal wall. The membranous layer of the superficial fascia of the anterior abdominal wall is the scarpa's fascia. Here you can see it continues as the superficial fascia of clitoris, superficial fascia of labia, and the colles fascia. And here is the superficial perineal space or the superficial perineal pouch. This dark yellow area is the deep perineal space or the deep perineal pouch. This red color membrane is known as the perineal membrane. In males, the scarpa's fascia or the membranous layer of the superficial fascia of the anterior abdominal wall continues downwards and here goes around the penis and then scrotum and then goes back as superficial perineal fascia. This is the superficial perineal fascia. In males, this is the perineal membrane. This is the perineal membrane. So above the perineal membrane, you have the deep perineal pouch. Below the perineal membrane, you have the superficial perineal pouch. This perineal membrane is also known as inferior fascia of the urogenital diaphragm. Now you know the superficial perineal pouch is enclosed by the membranous layer of the superficial fascia and the perineal membrane. In males, the rupture of bulbar urethra at the point of passage of passage through the perineal membrane, here it causes extravasation of urine into the anterior abdominal wall due to the fascial continuity. It is like this. Here the bulbar urethra, imagine if this bulbar urethra is ruptured, then urine extravasate into the superficial perineal pouch. Superficial perineal pouch, you can see it continues into the anterior abdominal wall as well. Because of this fascial continuity, you can see this fascia is continuous as upwards as the membranous layer of superficial fascia of the abdomen. So there is no tight compartment, so urine can go into this side as well. The deep perineal pouch is clear in this diagram. When we talk about the deep perineal pouch, it is enclosed. It is a closed space. It is a completely closed space actually by inferior and superior fascial layers of the urogenital diaphragm. Therefore, perineal pouch are located one above the other in a narrow space bounded by the two ischiopubic rami and pubic arch in erect position of the body. I think now you have some idea how these perineal pouches are situated in our body, as well as what are the structures which covers those perineal pouches, or the boundaries which covers those perineal pouches. Let's see what are the contents in those pouches. Here is a section in females, the muscles in the superficial perineal pouch. You can see the urogenital triangle here. This is the anal triangle. First we will see what are the muscles. Here you can see this is the ischio-cavernous muscle. Ischio-cavernosus muscle. These two are the ischio-cavernosus. Then you have the bulbospongiosus muscle. This is the glands of clitoris. This is the urethra and this is the vagina. And you can see superficial transverse perineal muscle in either side. And this is the perineal body. And then posteriorly, this is the pubococcygeus. Pubococcygeus means it goes to the pubic bone and to the coccyx. Pubococcygeus part of the levator ani muscle. This is the puborectalis part. This is the pubococcygeus part. This is the puborectalis part. Puborectalis means it goes from the pubic bone towards the rectum. It is also part of levator ani muscle. Here you can see the sacrotuberous ligament. Sacrotuberous means it goes from the sacrum to the ischial tuberosity, sacrotuberous ligaments. And here the other part of the levator ani muscle, the biggest part, the iliococcygeus, that means it goes from the ilium to the coccyx. Iliococcygeus. There are three parts of levator ani muscle as puborectalis muscle, pubococcygeus muscle and iliococcygeus muscle. Those are you can see in the superficial perineal pouch. After removing the muscles in the urogenital triangle in females, you can see these structures. You can see the glans clitoris here and body of the clitoris, and here the crus of the clitoris. These crus of the clitoris are formed by the ischiocavernosus muscles. And here the bulb of the vestibule and the urethra, vagina and the perineal membrane you can see. This perineal membrane is the one which separates the superficial perineal pouch and the deep perineal pouch. Here you can see the greater vestibular gland or the Bartholin's gland. Here is a section in males. You can see the penis, body of the penis and the structures. And here you can see the bulbospongiosus muscle. Bulbospongiosus muscle in males. This is the ischiocavernosus muscle in males. Ischiocavernosus muscle. These are the superficial transverse perineal muscle. It is same in both sexes. And this is the perineal body. This is the anal canal. And here also there are the three parts of the levator ani muscle. What are those three parts? Again, we'll see puborectalis muscle, then pubococcygeus muscle and iliococcygeus muscle. Once the muscles in the urogenital triangle are removed, you can see these structures. The crust of the penis, you can see the crust of the penis is formed by the ischiocavernosus, or covered by the ischiocavernosus muscle, and the bulb of the penis is covered by the bulbospongiosus muscle. Here, too, there are corpus cavernosum as 2, and this is the corpus spongiosum. And the perineal body again, and these structures are the same as previous picture. Hope now you know about the structures in the superficial perineal pouch in both sexes. Here is a section in men, the deep perineal pouch. We'll see this is the perineal membrane which separates the superficial perineal pouch and the deep perineal pouch. Once it removes, you will see like this. Here you can see the urethra and the external urethral sphincter, and this is the bulbourethral gland. From either side there are two bulbourethral glands. Initially, in the superficial perineal pouch, you had superficial transverse perineal muscle. This is the deep transverse perineal muscle in the deep perineal pouch. This is the perineal body, and you can see the other structures are same. This diagram shows the deep perineal pouch in females. Here also in this side the perineal membrane is removed. You can see the urethra and the vagina. You can see in the deep perineal pouch the sphincter uretrovaginalis muscle. Sphincter uretrovaginalis muscle and the compressor urethrae, deep transverse perineal muscle. The rest are same in the anal triangle. Now we'll see the blood supply in males, the deep perineal pouch and the superficial perineal pouch. Here you can see internal pudendal artery coming here. Internal pudendal artery. We'll take another color. Okay. Hope you are clear with this. This is the internal pudendal artery. This is the internal pudendal artery. Here, artery and vein both are in the same level. And the branches coming from the internal pudendal artery like this. And then this is the transverse branches of the perineal artery and vein. And the most important one is the deep dorsal artery of artery and vein of the penis. This is the deep dorsal artery and vein. In females also the blood supply are same. They are from the internal pudendal artery and vein coming from either side. The internal pudendal artery and vein, the artery divided into two main branches as inferior rectal artery towards the anus or the anal canal, and then perineal artery and vein towards the urogenital triangle, urogenital area. Perineal artery and the inferior rectal artery, there are two main branches. Then the nerve supply. Nerve supply is also the pudendal nerve. This is the pudendal nerve coming from either side. Pudendal nerve, and the pudendal nerve again divided into two branches as perineal nerve and the inferior rectal nerve. Here dorsal nerve of penis, and then here you can see the coming towards the perineal structures. Perineal nerve and the inferior rectal nerve are the branches of pudendal nerve. In females also it is same. The nerve supply is coming from the pudendal nerve and it is divided into perineal nerve and the inferior rectal nerve. I hope this session is very clear for you and the complex things were simplified. And then from my next video I will discuss about the anal canal separately and ischiorectal fossa separately. So thank you for watching. If you like this video, please share this video, put a like and comment in the comment section. Thank you again.